Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Ben Beshear with LiveWell Capital, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Joe Caserta at now McKinsey. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation with Joe. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what industries you've had the most success in and kind of some of the wins in those industries from your perspective, from the great work you've been doing.
So since we are historically New York City based, we are now national even before the merger. So since we are here in New York City, financial services has always been one of our sweet spots. So helping, big banks do things like building recommendation engines when people are at their investment portal based on, who are they in investment? Are they a personal investor? Are they a hedge fund manager? Are they institutional, right? Depending on their peers. And then also depending on what's on the screen in front of them. If they're looking at IBM, maybe they should be looking at, Microsoft, very simple, easy to comprehend type of recommendation. But that has always been, financial services has always been one of the staples within Caserta. Also, I think media and entertainment has always been important to us and important to our clients that we have that expertise. I think in the future, though, it's going to go more towards outside of our sweet spot, which is things like manufacturing, agriculture, government, those types of bigger, less metro types of businesses, right? That's to me, that's again a new challenge, a new excitement, and McKinsey has expertise internal. The other thing that's really nice about the merger is we've always been domain agnostic. So whether it's insurance or banking or, movies, right? Data's data. But when you have people on your team that really have very, very deep business knowledge, like super deep, could be the CEO of this business, right? Like the types of McKinsey consultants that they have. The types of solutions that we build are just, as we've been partnering together, they're just different. They're much, much more, we're creating much more impact for our clients than we ever have before, which is super exciting.
I'll ask a question. This one's a little selfish because it's the industry I'm in, right? We're in the wealth management business. And we always talk about the future of this business and how much of it's human, how much of it's digital. Is it human plus digital? I hope it's not entirely digital because I'll be without a job, unfortunately. But how do you see that mix in the future, given the fact that you've been right at the forefront of that? What is the wealth management or financial services professional look like at the future of the future? What role does digital play? What role does data play? How will delivering advice, delivering financial services look different for somebody like me in the future as we look 10, 20 years ahead?
Yeah, 10, 20 is a long time.
Maybe 5. I'll give you 5.
10, 20, my car will be outside this window on the 9th floor. It's
You'll have the DeLorean right outside the window. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think in the immediate term, a lot of our financial services clients, even clients of your size and your expertise, alternative data is a big piece of what we do. So figuring out different ways of being able to predict what the market is going to do, and doing that through alternative means, and just being creative about it, right? I'll share some famous use cases. One is, using satellite images to count cars in a parking lot to figure out how business is going, right? Before the quarterly financials come out, right? And then you can make some decisions. It's very, very thinking outside the box. The imagination is your only limitation, right? So that's why the creativity part of what we do is so important, right? We're not programmers, right? We're not, we do program the solutions, but the solutioning part and partnering with our client and coming up with these new ideas and these new possibilities, that's when the magic happens, right? And I don't think that's going to stop. 10 years from now, I do think that the cultures of the younger generations are just very used to having this in their hand. This will eventually become this, which may become something will become our contacts, in our eyes. And very, very 10 years is a long time. I do see that. I do believe that augmented reality through either glasses or contacts is probably in the future, in our lifetime. And being able to communicate with or without a human being, I think is going to become more common. I think it's going to start to become more common that you can't tell the difference, right? I think that chatbots are going to become so good at what they do. They'll start using the ums and the ahs like humans do, and start using inflection and accents and micro accents like humans do. And it'll be hard to tell the difference. But I think at the end of the day, I personally need an investment manager, a human being where I can look in his eyes and trust, right, to make decisions on my behalf. And I don't know if that's ever going to go away, right? I think all of the tools around us are going to change. Maybe some interactions will change. But I think that the human element and the need to have someone that you can trust to do business with isn't going to go away. And I think the major thing that's going to be the differentiator in the future, I think data is going to make a lot of the things that are hard now easy. The thing that the computers won't be able to do is have empathy and have that element of trust and apply customer service in ways where just by looking at my eyes and my body language, you can tell whether I'm happy or unhappy, right?
Right.
Maybe, AI will be able to do that in the future, but not when there's millions of dollars at stake, billions of dollars at stake, right? I think that part of it is going to be human element for our generation anyway. Generations to come, who knows what's going to happen.
Given how many of these things may be done for us in the future, do you think we're doing enough to train the next generation on empathy, on relationship building, on all those soft skills, since that might be the only thing that differentiates us in the future? What do you think?
Yeah, this is a whole topic of that's very near and dear to my heart. So I feel like, and if we're going too far on a tangent, just let me know and I'll shut up. But
I took you on the tangent. I want to go there.
Yeah, I believe that we learn our social skills through our education system, right? Go to school, make some friends, right? And like you have your little school community. That's the main part of it, right? You have your parents, right, who are coaching you through life, but really your social skills that you develop organically is through education. And I feel like the pandemic, one thing that we learned about the pandemic is that when you never leave the house, because the school is closed, you lose all of your social skills, right? So I believe that we had it backwards, right? We were trying to do, I believe what we should be doing is we should make education, I think, is huge growth opportunity for data and AI and education. Teaching people something that the world already knows, right? History, math, science, it's all known, right? The only thing that you need to make different is understanding what is the person's learning style and adapt what you're teaching to that particular learning style. Machines are great at that, right? Right. I believe that during the pandemic, the thing that we couldn't do, right? We tried to do the education through the computer, right? But what we couldn't do is we couldn't apply our social skills anywhere else because we were locked in our house. But I believe that if we can make education just something that we do on the computer or in person, but through AI, through adaptive learning, through very individualized, like if you and I were sitting there taking the same class, it would be two complete different curriculums because I may learn things visually, you may learn things interactively, right? So, so what happens is the social aspect. I think that we should be starting to develop programs at the community level, specifically teaching people like how to socialize, how to like look at each other and have a dinner without this in your hand, right? And how to learn empathy and caring and what it means, how to read body language, how to look in people's eyes and understand what it is they might be thinking and know how to ask the right questions sincerely, right? I think a lot of that is getting lost. And we're depending on a system that doesn't teach it anymore, right? It's just not there. So when we're so surrounded by electronics, I think we have to start becoming a society more deliberate on being social as human beings, and that's another great opportunity for, and it could be a whole new industry, right? You know, social adaptation, whatever we want to brand it, right? But I think that is it's very, very important, and I think for two reasons. One is just to have a society that we want to live in, and two, it will become the human beings' biggest differentiator, right? Because understanding what other people need, being able to help them, and actually care whether they're being helped or not. That's customer service, right? In a nutshell. And if we can't do that, like if we get so used to just like looking at our machine or looking at our computer or looking at our phone, that will get lost. And I think we have to be very deliberate about not losing that.
Well, it's an interesting point. I mean, I think you hear a lot about the learning gap from COVID, but you don't hear as much about the social gap created by COVID. And I think that is you can probably catch up on learning some of these subjects quicker than you can catch up on learning empathy or relationship building or any of those other things. So I love that point. I'm glad we went down that tangent. So as we wrap up today, one of the things I love asking entrepreneurs is, you've obviously had an incredible, successful career, and this partnership with McKinsey sounds like it's a blessing to you. It's a blessing to your teammates. It's a blessing to your customers, and it's a blessing to McKinsey. It's a win-win-win-win-win, right? But as we talk about wins and we talk about success, Joe, for you personally, how do you define success for you?
I'm doing something I love, and I'm making a decent living doing it. Yeah, I think as long as I am stimulating, you know, the intellectual side of my brain, the creative side of the brain, and having some love in my life, right? Those are probably the three things that are important to me. I'm successful, right? Yeah.
Well, Joe, I've enjoyed the conversation today. You've made me richer, and you've made this audience richer just by hearing a little bit of your wisdom. And so, Joe Caserta, I want to thank you for joining today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. And I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for it today.
Thanks, Ben. It was great chatting.